Hello, welcome back to Soul Search Sunday with Johnny Tiger on January 31st, 2021. Our second video of the day. And what a contrast. After the previous video talking about self-defense, violence, knives and swords and all that stuff. Now we're here to do some soul searching, to see if we can unlock the secret of the universe, or at the very least, find some more meaning in this very complicated thing we call life. When I do Soul Search Sunday, I always go through a bit of a mental struggle. You see, I don't like inspirational speakers. I don't like people who think they're so good that their job, their mission in life is to impart unto others their immense wisdom. Whenever I listen to inspirational speakers, I look at people who sit there and talk and pretend that they are better than everyone else, they know more, they understand more. I can't help but think, are you really that good? Or is that just what you want me to believe? Maybe after you go home, after you turn off the camera, you're just like us. You just sit around butt naked, watch TV, scratching your private parts. So when I do Soul Search Sunday and Wisdom Wednesday, I always feel a bit of I guess you can say insecurity. And well, you know, I'm being a bit of a hypocrite. Here I am sitting and talking, hoping that what I say is worth something to somebody. On the other hand, I know, I admit that I'm no better than anyone else. Uh, you know, when I go off camera, I'm just like the rest of you. Or maybe, well, maybe not even like the rest of you, because a lot of you who are watching this, you're sighted, and I am blind and partially deaf. So I imagine there are different things we do that do set us apart. However, I do sit around butt naked, watching TV, read an audiobook, scratching my private parts, just like the rest of you. Okay, enough talk about private parts. What kind of parents do you guys have when you were growing up? Were your parents stern but fair? Were your parents mean and ugly? Were your parents cold and aloof? You see, I often find that no wonder I can feel like a complicated and conflicted person sometimes, because I grew up with two extremes of parents. My father was at best what you can call uh, honest bad guy. He never pretended to be anything else. When you ask him a question like, Dad, why can you swear and cuss? Why can the rest of us not? Why can, how is it fair for you to punish us when you do it yourself? My dad would come right back with the answer, because this is my house, that's why. Because I have bigger fists, that's why. And that's the kind of answer you get out of him. He was very honest, unapologetically honest and vicious and aggressive. It's his way or no way. You don't like it? Move out. He was a bully quite often. But you know what? In many ways, I prefer dealing with my father, because at least with him, you know where you stood. He would tell you if he's happy, he tell you. If he's unhappy, he tell you. You need to know why, he tell you. You are very rarely confused when you're dealing with him. It's very black and white. You're either in his good book or you're in his bad book. And he always lets you know the reason. Dealing with my mom, though, God, it was totally different. My mom, while a lot of people said my mom was friendly, in a professional, cold manner, but at least she was friendly. She wasn't vicious or aggressive like my dad. But dealing with my mom growing up, having to learn to read her what she was saying was in many times more difficult, more confusing than dealing with my father. Because with my mom, you actually have to learn to read between the lines. Let me give you a few examples. I remember when I was little, I asked my mom many, many times, Mom, if dad beats you up all the time, if dad treats you so badly, why do you stay with him? My mom would say to me, she said, I stay because of you, because I don't want you to grow up without a father. Can you imagine what it's like to grow up with that kind of guilt in your head, in your mind, and that kind of burden on your shoulder? Mom is getting beat up every day because she doesn't want me to grow up without a father. And then when I finally left home at the age of 17, I asked her again, Mom, I'm not there anymore. I don't even live with him anymore. Why are you still with him? Then the answer turned into, well, I have nowhere to go yet, so I thought just stay with him for a little while. And also, getting a divorce is so difficult. Separating from him is so difficult. I just don't want to deal with the hassle. I don't want to deal with his emotion. I don't want to deal with the backlash. Okay, that made a little bit more sense. And then a few years later, when my father got arrested and thrown in jail, I asked my mom again. I said, Mom, now that he's in jail, it's the best chance for you to go. Why are you still staying with him? And she said, yeah, well, he's in jail and someone need to take care of business, someone need to take care of, uh, go bring him food and go visit him, and someone has to do that. I can't leave him now. If I leave him now, he's going to, when he get out of jail, he's going to come and exact revenge. It wasn't until much later, when I was almost 30, that I realized I needed to stop asking her that same question, why are you still with him? Because the answer, as silly, as crazy as it was, Mom, you actually love him. She would never admit it, but I remember almost every time they had a fight, every time he beat her black and blue, every time he yelled at her, the same pattern would play out. She would slam the door and she would either go out shopping on her own, or more often than not, she would take me with her, and I would end up listening to her for the next 3 or 4 hours on how much of a monster he was, and how unbearable this was, and how much she was suffering, and how she hated him, she hated his guts, yada yada yada. And then 3 or 4 hours later, she would start to talk slower and slower. She would start to fidget. she would start to look around herself and trying to almost like she's looking for somebody, and then she would slowly pull her cell phone out of her purse, and she would mumble something like, "I wonder if your dad's hungry. I wonder what he wants for lunch." And she would call him, and then everything would blow over. She loved him. It took me that long to realize it because she would never say it to me, and she always had excuses. First, she used me as an excuse. When I wasn't there, she used uh, business and hassle as an excuse. And then when he got put in jail, she used uh, the obligation as an excuse. But it all boiled down to she loved him. You know, now that my father is almost 80 years old, he tries so hard, so hard to find friends on the internet. He tries so hard to find romance on Facebook. He's always trying to date this woman, that woman. To a lot of people, it looks like he's just being a horny old goat. But I wonder, I wonder if my mom would only come out and tell him she loved him for all those years. Maybe if she would have told him, and I know she hadn't. I know she didn't tell him ever, because my mom has never told me she loved me. Maybe if she would tell him, then he wouldn't feel such a need to find it elsewhere. Another example of my mom and her uh, propensity for disguising the truth was that for many years, after I moved away from the family and they moved back to Taiwan, she would come to visit me once or twice every year and stay at my place for a month or 2 months. And without failing, the first week, the first 2 weeks she was here, we get along great because we missed each other. And then as the day drew closer to her leaving Canada, the day drew closer to her departure day, she would turn into a troll. Like I kid you not. And my mom would turn into a troll, would pick fight and pick topic to uh, raise her voice or raise an argument about for the silliest stuff. And when I was younger, okay, I'll admit my temper wasn't very good either. My temper still isn't as good as I want it to be, but now I'm better at uh, diffusing myself and distracting myself when I get angry. But back then, I was a dynamite. You pick fight with me, I explode. Um, and she knew that. She knew that. And so she would do that. Every time it got closer to her departure day, she would start picking fight with me every day until we were so mad at each other that a lot of time I didn't even go to see her off at the airport. I just called her a taxi and said, "Okay, get out of here," and bye. And that was it. It perplexed me for many years why she would do this thing because it was so aggravating and I hated parting company on bad terms like that. I really hated it. I felt guilty every time she did this to me. Until it suddenly came to me one day that she was doing this because she was afraid of her own emotion. She was afraid that saying goodbye, seeing me at the airport, saying goodbye at the airport, she was afraid she was going to cry. She was so scared of her emotion that she rather provoked me into arguments to make the farewell easier to bear for the both of us. That's what she was doing. It's not that she hated me. It's not that she had no feeling. but she was so scared of her feeling that she rather turned it into resentment and anger. Ever since that, she has a much harder time provoking me into any kind of argument for that reason, and it frustrates the heck out of her. It got to the point one time when she actually said, "Johnny, what's wrong with you?" I said, "Mom, what do you mean? What do you mean what's wrong with me?" And she said, "I can't seem to get you mad. No matter what I do, you just don't seem to get angry. What's wrong with you?" And I just laughed. I said, "Mom, because I know what you are trying to do. That's why it's not going to work." It seems like I'm talking a lot of negative stuff about my mom, but uh, I'm going to end today's video on a positive note because there were things she did, does that go in the other direction as well. It's not always negative. And the other day, while I was eating supper, one of these things, one of these new understanding about my mom suddenly clicked into place in my head. And it was a beautiful, beautiful moment when I suddenly gained a new understanding, when you can say I almost transcended uh, in that moment between bites of my food. Just this light bulb going on in my head. And I said, "Wow, mom, wow." And I gained a new appreciation for my mom. All those years when I was growing up, when we were growing up, and my mom was, uh, when the whole family lived together, whenever we had fish, my mom would say, "Make sure you leave the fish head for me." And we would say, "You, why would you eat that?" Whenever we had shrimp or deep fried prawn, she would say, "Make sure you save the head for me and the tail." And we go, you are weird. Why would you eat that?" Whenever we had chicken, if we had whole chicken, she would say, "Make sure you save the chicken feet, chicken head for me, and the wing tips." And again, we say, "You are so weird. Like, why would you eat that?" Every single time, she would tell us, "Because that's the best part of the fish. That's the best part of the shrimp. That's the best part of the chicken. I like that stuff." For all those years, I thought she really did. But that night, a few days ago, in the middle of dinner, I was eating shrimp. It clicked in my head that she did it so we could have the parts we liked. Because she knew those were the parts that we wouldn't eat. So she limited herself to only eat those parts of the fish, of the shrimp, of the chicken for all those years, giving up the good meat, giving up the good portion, because me, my brother, sister, my dad would eat those. And she never once complained about it. She told everyone she liked eating those weird stuff, all because she wanted us to have the parts we wanted. So, knowing that, I must say, even though she will not hear this, because she does not watch my Soul Search Sunday, I must say thank you, Mom. Definitely, a sacrifice that should have been acknowledged and recognized long ago. Thank you for checking out today's Soul Search Sunday. We'll be back again tomorrow for Music Monday. For now, have a good night. And next time, when your parents, no matter if it's your mom, your dad, seem to do something that to you is nonsense or totally out of character or just doesn't make any sense, maybe think about, are they doing this so you can have the quality of life you enjoy?